Welcome back, everyone, to our prayer journey with Mike Toth as we continue stepping through the book of Mark, one verse at a time. Today we're going to do chapter 7 and verses 1 until 23. You know, a couple of times in my life, I've received a letter from the IRS to audit something that they questioned on my tax return. And I was very fortunate, very nervous, as you can think and see, because I'm being audited, even though it was a partial audit. And when I went through, they were right, but in both cases, it came out better for me. I'd sold some stock in both cases, in which I forgot to record the stock sale. But when I put the stock sale together, I found out that I lost money on those two stocks. And so both times I actually got more money back. And we got a similar situation here. You know, I don't know what you'd think of Jim Acosta, but he became famous. How did he become famous? He was constantly attacking the president, Donald Trump. And he was constantly there pointing out any faults and errors, were they real or were they were fake. And, he made a name for himself in doing that. And we're going to see here, I believe they send a commission of auditors from the Pharisees to come and audit Jesus, to find error with Jesus. They probably followed him around with a notebook and pad and wrote things. If it was today, the cameras would be with them, and they would be filming the things that they're doing wrong. So let's see what some of those things are. I'm going to read the first 5 verses of this chapter, chapter 7. Then came together unto him the Pharisees and a certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. See, they came down from Jerusalem. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread and with defiled, and they say with unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees, all of the Jews, except they wash their hands oft, eat not, holding to traditions of the elders. Now, why is he writing in this detail? He's writing to who? Romans. Romans are trying to, he's trying to get them to understand the state of mind of the Jewish mind. So he goes in verse 3. For the Pharisees and all the Jews, except they wash their hands oft, eat not, holding tradition of the elders. And when they come from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold, as washing of cups, pots, brazen vessels, and tables. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, Why walk not thy disciples according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? So you can imagine if Jim Acosta was here, he would have the cameras on him. Look what they're doing. They're eating this food the wrong way. So Mark is setting this up to get them to understand the difference between what the Pharisees are looking at, which is the outward, and what Jesus is looking at, which is in the inward. So now let us read probably about 10 verses here before we finish it. And this is Jesus talking. He answered and said unto them, Well had Isaiah prophesied of you hypocrites. And hypocrites means actors. As it is written, This people honored me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit, in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. A lot of these traditions were not actual biblical commands. These were traditions of men. A lot of people say, well, when you talk about Christianity in public display, well, you have your Christmas tree. A Christmas tree is a tradition. It has nothing at all to do with Jesus Christ. And I tell you the truth, for years I didn't have one. I got grandkids, I got to put it up again a little bit. I don't like the Christmas tree because it takes away from Jesus. But it's a tradition of men, and this is what we're dealing with here. So he goes in verse 8. For laying aside the commandment of God, you told the traditions of men, as washing of pots and cups, and many other such things do ye. And he said unto them, Full well ye reject the commandments of God, that you may keep your own tradition. And I'm going to read through this and try to explain it. For Moses says, Honor thy father and thy mother, And whosoever curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, if a man shall say to his father or his mother, it is Korban, that is to say, a gift, by whatsoever you do mightest be profited by me, he shall be free. You know, what happens here is we see like an endowment. You know, you ever see these endowments that are put on colleges? You know, I don't know, Cecil Field Hall. I'm just making up things now. But they have a name and a hall named after a person that gave them the money. Well, they're telling them, Mom and Dad, I really can't take care of you that much because look what I'm doing. I'm giving to the synagogue. I committed this money elsewhere. Probably after their death, too. And ye suffered him no more to do aught to the father and mother. The first duty was to the parents, not to the synagogue, not to have your name up in lights. It was for your mom and for your dad. Making the word of God of none effect through your traditions, which ye have delivered, and many such like things ye do. And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken unto me every one of you, and understand. There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him, but the things which come out of him, those that defile a man. You see, people could say, well, that's not true. You could take, some kind of poison and die. Of course. But he's not talking about the physical man. He is talking about the spiritual man, the condition of the soul. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Who can know it? And you and I possess that heart. If any man has ears, let him hear. And he was entered into the house from the people. His disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he said unto them, Are you also without understanding? Do you not perceive that whatsoever thing cometh from without entered into the man, it cannot defile him, because it entereth not into his heart, but into his belly, and goeth out into the draught, purging all meats. It goes in and comes out. Man dies with a good heart, he's in heaven. Man dies with his wicked heart, he's in hell. And he said, That which cometh out of a man, that defileth the man. And he's talking about the heart again. Is there any good in the heart of man? This is one reason why, no one can rule correctly unless it's God himself, because the heart of man is always going to have preeminence over the other people he's ruling for. For within him, out of the heart of man, proceeded evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, and murders. Let's go back to what Jesus said. If you think it in your heart, you've done it. Pretty much it. If you thought adultery, you're guilty of adultery. If you thought evil of somebody, you're guilty of that evil. If you wanted to kill somebody, you killed that person, because you would have did it if the laws and things were not in place to stop you from doing it. There's been a couple of times in my life, before I was living for God, man, that I was this close to doing something that would have ruined my life and hurt somebody else's life for years, if not forever. There's the human heart's deceitfully wicked, evil. So he goes on, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceitful, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. Check your heart. Isn't it what it's full of? If you don't fill it with Jesus Christ, this is what's full in your heart. And he completes this section with, all these evil things come from within a man and defile the man. The man is not defiled because of what's outside. He's already defiled inside because we're sinners. And until you come to the point that you know you're a sinner, there is no hope. So I hope that's why I brought you today. I hope I bring you to the place that you know you're a sinner in need of salvation, and that you would ask the Lord of the universe into your life to cleanse you from all unrighteousness. And that takes a decision to know that I am a sinner in need of a cleansing. So until next time, may Jesus increase as we decrease.